Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Analog Allies, Episode 3, your weekly video game podcast on this channel. I am RGT85, joined as always by Brett. This is a show where I have two topics. Brett has two topics. We both talk about these topics. And yeah, we do an after show after this show is finished, run about an hour long. If you are a channel member, you have access to the after show along with some other goodies along the way. Also, I just remembered, Brett, we have to film a video for the one of the tiers of the show. So we'll do that this weekend. But we got a jam-packed show. I don't know Brett's topics. Brett doesn't know my topics, except for the first one. But before we get into all of that, do have a super chat from Sometimes I Drink Tea with a $4.99. How many bags of Cheetos can the Switch 2 Joy-Con slot handle? I mean, if we're talking about, full bags of Cheetos, not many. The snack size, snack size Cheetos, I feel like, it might.
I don't know. How many bags of Cheetos can the Switch 2 Joy-Con slot handle? I don't even know how to envision this to even come up with an answer.
I mean, you got to go with the small, like the snack size, like the ones that you buy the 12 pack for your little shithead kids for them to take it to school with them. And then they get jumped because, someone doesn't have Cheetos and, the bully wants the Cheetos. So, what are you going to do?
Are we living through some Sean Long memories right now?
Oh, no. I was always the bully. Not the
That's
bully.
what I meant. Yeah, that's what I
didn't really steal Cheetos. I didn't steal food that much. I wasn't really my
that
thing.
much. You stole someone's food at some point, though.
But yeah. I mean, sometimes you throw food at people. I used to throw pickles at people. Because they're kind of small, but they can fly. Like if they got a little weight to them, like a pickle slice. Anyways, we're not here to talk about pickle slices. We're here to talk about a confirmation. There's been a lot of speculation about the Nintendo Switch 2, as Nintendo did not give us a whole hell of a lot to go off on, aside from the initial trailer of it. But there was some interesting things going on with the Joy-Con, where it looked like a mouse-style peripheral. And my first topic will be that we now have some patents that I'll be showing here, because this is a high-quality production, showcasing the intention of these new Joy-Cons and some of the features that they will have. And it's pretty much, it's a mouse, but I think there's a little bit more to it than just a mouse. So you can see here, this is the first picture of the patent. And this looks very uncomfortable to me. Holding it outwards and then like a claw, like if I was a T-Rex or something like that, okay, that might work. But this doesn't seem like a very comfortable way. Now these Joy-Cons are bigger. We do know that they are bigger than the standard ones that we have now, but I don't know how I feel about that.
Dude, the hand on the left is a bit more surprising to me because it suggests that the way we currently hold Joy-Con is going to be different on the Switch 2, because we're using our ring finger and our middle finger to press the buttons on the other side.
I think that's just for a case by case basis, though, because I don't think most games are going, because you still have the face buttons over here, 32 and 31. Are going to be your face buttons, and you still have your triggers and stuff like that. I think this is, but like the hand is very contorted. Like I don't know that like you're almost throwing up like gang signs with that shit, bro. Like what are you doing? Like, yeah, C's up, B's down or something. Like, I don't know. That doesn't look comfortable to me at all.
Okay, so back when all this started about, like it could have a mouse because of like the IR sensor on the leaked thing, and then in the trailer they showed like it looking like mice like running. There was still a part of me that was like, they're not really gonna do a mouse on the Joy-Con, are they? But this confirms it. It just has me wondering now, what is this actually gonna be used for? Like,
Mario Paint. That's all
I
I
know,
care.
but like all I can envision is like Mario Paint, RTS games. Maybe
Mario
if people want to play like a first person shooter with a mouse on the right side and then buttons on the left side.
Mario
But
Music.
Mario Music. Maybe a game like Animal Crossing. That would make sense. Like designing the room, with like a
Yeah.
mouse. I feel like that'd be quicker and a lot faster than what Animal Crossing currently is. It's super slow to do all that stuff. But still, that's, I don't know. If that's like the main gimmick of the Switch 2, a mouse, I never saw that coming at all.
You see some sort of fuckery going on here. I honestly, I don't know how I'm supposed to read this, so we're gonna skip this one. This
I don't know this
okay.
one either.
No. So this is okay. This is the right Joy-Con being put face down. It's just a really shitty drawing of it. You put it face down and you scoot it along a surface. And I'm guessing F is the even plane of it. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, well, zooming in makes it smaller. That makes all the fucking sense in the world. So this is like the plane, your plane of existence, and you scoot it along there. Now this is obviously, a bit more telling.
That's how we're gonna use it.
But they still have the weird crippled hands here. They look even worse
like that.
They look even worse in this one. Like, look at the gap between this man's thumb. I say man, it could be a woman. Look at the gap between this individual's thumb, this person's thumb and index finger. Like that's it. That's a fucking gap, dude. I don't even know if I could replicate that. Like this.
And dude, with the mouse thing, do you think we're gonna have to put it on like a surface at all times, or do you think it's gonna be like we could go like this and use it as a mouse in the air, like without having anything to put it on?
You can't do that with a wireless mouse, though.
I mean, I don't know if this is going to use like different tech than like a traditional mouse. Maybe it is going to use some type of different sensor of some. I don't know about technology. I'm just saying, are we going to have a flat surface or a table or use our leg?
Book,
man, I don't know.
A book or something. No, you know what they'll do?
Book.
They'll have
Nintendo mouse pads.
Exactly. They had one with Mario Paint. I have the big box collection up there. It has the mouse pad, and a copy of Mario Paint.
I mean, that's pretty cool, but I mean, I'd probably be down for a Nintendo mouse pad, but
I'm assuming this is the top-down perspective. You got the 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink here. Which, I mean, that does make sense. I don't know how you would, use the I guess you could kind of this looks interesting.
All of this looks kind of sexual.
But like, how are you gonna like move your hand and move the analog stick at the same time? I don't know. I guess it's kind of like the little, you remember on like the old IBM ThinkPads where it had like the little nub. It was almost like a little eraser, and that was the mouse on like older laptops and stuff like that. Like, I guess maybe something like that. This is going to be a terrible episode for audio listeners, by the way.
Yeah, it is, definitely. So we definitely recommend going to check the video version.
Yeah, watch the archive.
But dude, damn it, you made me forget what I was going to say. It was very important, Sean.
Here's our final view. So I guess you could use them both. Like,
okay, yeah, this is what I was going to say. So this is sort of, I highly doubt like they're gonna make like a keyboard to use. So, like, have you ever played? Because for a brief moment when Fortnite first came out, I downloaded it on my computer, and I hated using the keyboard, but it actually let me use a mouse on my right hand, and my left hand I used a controller. Do you think that's how we're gonna play the games? Is like using the
Well,
stick on the left and then
here
the mouse on the
here's
right?
here's the thing with the Switch. How often did you really use the IR pointer for games? How many
I don't think I ever
companies?
used it.
Exactly. So, Nintendo will have, some of their games. I guess I could take these little Joy-Cons. I mean, they're not official Nintendo ones, but they're close enough. So let's see. I mean, this is not bad. Like, honestly, holding it down, assume, because this has the rail system. So get rid of the rail where it's flat. Like, this isn't terrible. I guess I should put it like this. This isn't terrible,
Yeah.
assuming that it's flat. Now, with two of them on a flat surf, I mean, okay, so on my left hand, I'm a right-handed person. On my right hand, it feels fine. On my left hand, it does feel weird. It does not feel natural at all.
There's
So
no
but maybe they're showing both hands based on your
for
dominant
people.
hand.
Yeah, okay.
So
I
left
highly doubt
hand.
any game is gonna have us sitting here with two mouses on the table
You got a horse?
doing
You're riding a horse?
riding a horse. Yeah.
Like,
Anyway.
yeah. So yeah, that has to be it. It has to be based on your dominant hand. And Nintendo will have some, game at launch that that utilizes the technology that shows it off essentially. Probably it'd be nice if it was a pack in, but more than likely, a $40 or $50 game for that. So,
Hey, Sean, you might remember this, but I don't remember if anything ever came from it. When the Wii U was revealed, remember how it showed like that person like painting a picture of Link, like coloring in like a picture of Link? Was that ever a thing? Like on the Wii U? Like a game of some sort?
No, not to my knowledge.
Then
This is
maybe they
atrocious,
still
by
got
the
that
way.
kicking around.
This
Maybe that project.
The Crip hand is atrocious. This does not work for me. I'm sorry.
Well,
Now,
you also
Art
hold the
Academy.
Nintendo 64 controller terribly, so I don't
Art
trust
Academy.
you.
Art Academy.
Oh, Art Academy, that's what it was in the reveal trailer for the Wii U.
See, you could fucking do that on Mario Paint 64 for the 64 DD, and it was cooler. You could actually like 3D model stuff and then walk around in the 3D model. I really need to make a video on those games, even though a bunch of other people have. Now, this could just be because these are aftermarket, because they are a bit thicker on the plastic. But no, this is not good. This is not good too. But
yeah,
it seems like this is probably the gimmick. Now, how often this gimmick would be used, obviously Nintendo's going to have some shit with it, but are third-party companies really going to, utilize it?
It's going to be like the touchpad on the PS5 and PS4 that no company barely ever used. And now they're just stuck with it. Like they can't not have it forever now because old games need it for like a pause button, basically.
Well, that's like 6-axis controller shit from the PS3. When you're playing a game,
like Heavenly Sword,
like even if it's a backwards compatible game, you have to have the 6-axis controller to do the 6-axis things. You can't have like an aftermarket one that doesn't have 6-axis. I remember running into that issue on playing PS3 games on my PS4. And I got to a point in a game that, interestingly enough, is actually my second topic, defending the game. It was a thing where I couldn't advance because I didn't have a proper 6-axis controller. So I was just screwed, and it kind of made me mad, but it is what it is. Do you think these are going to be the same price, or they're going to increase the price because there's new technology in them?
Well, aren't they getting rid of something?
Oh, Gustavo.
I see.
I mean,
I
it's
thought the rumor
different.
was they were getting rid of.
Well, the
Wasn't there
infrared
like
sensor,
another sensor? Yeah, the infrared sensor.
but I think it's
So,
just changing to a
oh,
mouse, and that's why you lose backwards compatibility with some games.
mhm.
But I mean, that's still also kind of up in the air. That's just kind of speculation, but it makes the most sense as far as the backwards compatibility situation is concerned.
Yeah. How much are Joy-Con right now? Like 50 each?
I think it's 80 for a pair.
80 for a pair, but I think 50 each. Let me see.
Can you buy them individually?
Oh, right now GameStop has them for 30. Yeah, you
Oh,
can.
wow. Wow, you can get
But
the Skyward Sword ones for $30 on Walmart. Good thing I sold those when they were high. Oh no, they're knockoffs. Oh, that's
they're not,
cheesy, bro.
they have the Breath of the Wild one for 30 on Amazon. But it's not like
Normally they're 80, but it seems like it almost seems like companies, some stores are trying to liquidate them for some reason.
yeah, it's almost like the new Switch is coming and these aren't going to matter anymore.
All right, well, that's all I have to say about the mouse situation. Chat, be sure to let us know what you think about the mouse and the sexually suggestive pictures such
Jeez.
as these, because I mean, I'm glad I'm not the only one who sees it.
No, you're not. That was,
Brett,
Greg Vargas. That was the very first thing he said. Is he said that looks like me in high school. But all right. Well, wait. Before we go, my main thing is like, what are they going to use this for in terms of the games? Like, I just don't see it being used very much. But
Mario Paint. That's all I want. That's
one
all
game.
That's fine. That's fine.
You ain't never going to play it, Sean. You're going to play
Mario
for like
Paint?
30 minutes. You're going to play
No,
for
I love
30
Mario
minutes. And
As
never
long
touch
as
it again.
it is a robust experience like the original Mario Paint was. Mario Paint was not just a painting thing where I couldn't draw. I can't draw for shit. But you also had animation, which I also couldn't do. But you also had the music creation, which I also couldn't do. And you had the Fly Swatter game.
Fire Emblem and Sims and Civilization in the comments. That all makes sense.
Yeah, Age of Empires too, since that's third party now.
Yep. Everything's an Xbox. Anyway, my topic. EA continues to be dumb. I'm just going to read this part of this article.
All right.
EA CEO Andrew Wilson offered some comments regarding Dragon Age: The Veilguard's less than stellar sales, implying that a live service approach may have led to more success for the recent RPG. And here's the quote. In order to break beyond the core audience, games need to directly connect to the evolving demands of players who increasingly seek shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives in this beloved category. Dragon Age had a high-quality launch and was well reviewed by critics, but those who played, however, it did not resonate with a broad enough audience in this highly competitive market. Essentially saying, if it was a live service game, it would have been way more successful. And I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Was Inquisition a live service game?
No.
How many copies did Inquisition sell?
I think it did pretty well. Let's check.
I know it. I could tell you it.
Oh, just tell me.
12 million.
Damn. Yeah, that's good.
Now that is over an extended period of time where discounts were also applied to it. No, that's not the problem, you fucking moron.
Thank you.
The problem was that Dragon Age game. First off, I am not a Dragon Age fan. I'm not to say that they're bad or whatever.
I am.
I've never played them, so I'm unfamiliar with them. But from what I've talked to John about, because he is familiar with all of the games, it's the writing. And it's not necessarily the topics that the writing covers. It's the way the writing is. It sucks. It's preschool level. And this is coming from John. John's like, yeah, the writing is horrendous. It's like, extremely on the nose. There's no nuance in anything. There's no interpretation. It's all just laid out in front of you like you're a fucking moron. And I'm sorry, but
more of it. It was bad.
In an RPG, that's not good writing. That all falls down to the writing team and who put them in charge, who signed. See, that's one thing I don't think a lot of people really take into account. They see this show's gonna get me in trouble. They see the fat white woman with the bull ring and the blue hair that's writing the story, and they automatically think something of it, whether that's right or wrong. I mean, stereotypes exist because there's a reason to them, but they see that person, and then that's the person that they blame for the way that the writing is. However, somebody has to sign off on this story. Somebody has to hire that person, knowing their background of story writing. Somebody has to God damn, Fransby, aka Todd Howard, may or may not be Todd Howard, gifted 50 RGT stash membership. So now all 50 of you that got them now have access to the after show. So give a big thank you to Todd Howard.
Thank you, Todd.
Or Fransby, as he's known incognito. That's awesome. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the problem is who is hiring this person thinking that they are going to, and that's not to say that topics that person may want to write about, topics that maybe that person has endured, that's not to say it doesn't have a place. That's why things like indie games exist, because you could do an indie game and you can tell any story you want. You don't have a big budget attached to it. You don't have all these investors attached to it. You could tell any sort of story that you want, and it's fine. Because you're talking about these big AAA games, it's not just your livelihood. It's everyone around you's livelihood.
But the thing is I don't think they could have just done a better job at if they wanted to cover this topic for some reason in a Dragon Age game, if they had to, based on what I've seen, I'm not gonna act like I played the game, but I have watched a lot of clips that people have sent me, and like you were saying, like you said that Spawnwave said, it's just so blatant. It's just like there's no cleverness behind any of the writing at all. Like they could have come at this completely different given the world that this game takes place in, but they came at it as if they were on Twitter talking about it.
Yes.
And not in the Dragon Age world.
Yes.
That's the problem.
And that extends once again, because people could say, oh, people don't like it because, you have this character that's, this race or this sexuality or something like that. Metal Gear Solid Delta, I still like to call it 3 HD. That game has now been dated.
Yeah.
And if you've played that game, along with Metal Gear Solid 2, you would know that some of these characters in these games would be deemed, and that's why I don't like blanket statements of that everything is woke. And people say, oh, you're riding the fence. No, I take things on a case-by-case basis, because when you play Metal Gear Solid 2, when you play Metal Gear Solid 3, and you encounter these characters, they're not written in a manner where it's like, why are you telling me all of this? It's written in the flow of them as a person. I feel like a lot of these people that are writing these stories about these big, serious topics that do take place in the world don't have the interaction aspect of it. They don't talk to people in real life. They have their little friend circle, and those are the only people that exist in their world. So they think how they talk about these topics and how they bring up these topics is how everyone does it. When in reality, the real world is a very different place than the online world.
100%. And honestly, what I think is a little strange is BioWare already sort of tackled this in Inquisition by having a trans character in the game, Krem, played by Jennifer Hale. And I think they did it brilliantly by never really talking about it much. It was just a person in the game that was trans. Imagine that.
And that's
Imagine
another
that.
thing. A lot of people that are, I know people that are trans. I know people that are gay. It's not like when you walk up to them, if you're just meeting them for the first time, like, hey, I'm gay. It's like, no, nobody does that. Nobody that's not a normal interaction with someone. I know the Twitter world and the TikTok world and all these little clips that you see online of people, making fools of themselves or whatever, doing things like that. Maybe you deem that as reality, but that's not reality. You don't walk into a job and a new person gets hired and they come in, I'm queer. It's like, oh, okay, what's your name? Are you experienced in this field? Like, I just don't get. I think the problem is that with a lot of these characters, it's all encompassing. It's their only personality trait.
Yeah, that's
and they write these characters to where they don't have a personality, and their personality relies on their sexuality or something, or it can be a myriad of different factors. The people writing these characters are not good writers, is what it really boils down to at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm just more of the mind that if you stop talking about it and just let it be, people will become more accepting, even if it's subconsciously in their brain, and they're not being told what to think or like all that stuff. Like another example, the TV show Jessica Jones. It's a Marvel TV show. Season 3 introduced a trans character, and they just never talked about it. They never acknowledged it. It was obviously someone who was trans, but it was never relevant to the story, and it was a really good character. Like,
right.
I just don't know why Dragon Age did this before, and I thought it was really cool how they did that. And then with this game, like you said, the writers, they just, I don't know. It was like they were writing for they were writing a Twitter post instead of a Dragon Age game, and that's just really unfortunate because like BioWare used to be so much more than that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, it.
We have some super chats we got to get to. By the way.
Oh, okay. And I get it. It's a delicate situation, and it's very territorial for people. There's people that think nothing is woke and everyone's a bigot. There's people that think everything is woke, and all these people are, pushing narratives. And I feel like it falls in between. Yeah. You can't be extreme with things like this. Like, I mean, you could do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. I'm not going to be extreme with something like this. KFB with a 4.99er. I voted Trump, but I'm worried about tariffs inflating the Switch 2 console price. Thoughts? I talked about this briefly in a video. I don't foresee it being a thing, but if it is a thing, it's kind of one of those situations where I'm not going to put the cart before the horse. If we get to that situation, we get to that situation, and then I'll have a conversation about it. I don't know enough about tariffs and policies like that to give an educated point of view. I have a very basic knowledge of it. Brett, are you an expert in tariffs and foreign relationships? So
no, obviously it's a concern to me, but like you said, I'm not going to worry about it until it's actually happening. And then, nothing I can do about it. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of something, you cross that bridge when you get there. Finchy TV with $2 says balls. Hey,
nice.
Not bad. Not bad.
He's got big balls. She's got big balls.
Buy one BBL, get one free with a $10 dono. I was watching old shows from the 80s and 90s, and when they had gay characters, that characters first and gay second. Nowadays they proclaim, dude, I'm fucking tired. Nowadays they proclaim their sexuality and ignore the character. I mean, look at, go watch The Simpsons. Smithers, go watch the episode where the toy shop owner Homer has the whole thing with him, and then what happens at the end? He's like, oh, it's not about that. It's about the person. And is this a good person? And, you know, looking past you learn shit. People don't realize this. You learn shit in older shows. Like, yes, sitcoms, a lot of cartoons that were geared towards kids. You actually learn shit. Do you know the first time I ever saw, how do you say this without getting in trouble? A very bad racial slur was on an episode of Family Matters. We were watching Family Matters, and Laura Winslow was doing some sort of project, and somebody spray painted it on her locker. I'm a fucking little kid. I don't know what this is. And like the music gets all like serious and shit. So I looked to my mom. I'm like, what's this? And my mom was like, And then, you know, throughout the episode, they kind of, you know, explain what was going on. But like, bro, you learn about that sort of stuff. You know, it taught you stuff. Nowadays, everything is just fucking brain rot. Ethan Miguel, EM.
You skipped one, I think, by the way.
No, I didn't.
I thought you skipped the. No, you didn't, my bad.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, we're good. Cheetos. Right. Your point about a character's entire personality is taken, but you don't know what it's like to grow up without representation. That's privilege. And you know what? I'm not gonna say that is a fair point. But what I am saying is that I think for a lot of people, this is kind of something that I feel like has been lost on a lot of people, is that not understanding something doesn't mean that you automatically think it's bad or something like that. It just means that you aren't accustomed to it. You can't see yourself in that situation. You can't understand why this person is a way they are, why they do things the way they are. I mean, it's just like, if you want to strip it and make it simple, you know, something basic, just like if somebody listens to a certain type of music and you're like, how does this person listen to this music? I don't get it. Like, I feel like just even, it's just become such a hostile situation. You can't have any conversation. You can't have any nuance. And companies know that, and they feed into it. Perfect case in point is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I think it is. Once again, another franchise I don't know anything about. There's romance options in the game. IGN wrote an article telling you how to romance the guy, to have a guy-on-guy relationship. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, huh, okay, is that the only option? So I asked John, because I know John's playing the game, and John was like, no, it's not the only option. I'm like, He was like, you kind of get a feeling that there's something going on between them, but it's not the only option. There are women that you can court in the game as well. And so I asked him, I was like, well, why did IGN write the article only about how to get the dude? And he was like, it's a good question. And I was like, because it's the reverse grift. People don't understand this.
And it's SEO.
It's the reverse grift. It's doing something that you know will get a reaction out of someone. That you know.
I mean, they probably made a how to romance the girls as well article, don't you think?
I don't think so. I don't think so. It was weird. The only thing that they tweeted out.
All right. But yeah, we're definitely not saying representation in games is bad, if that's what the super chatter was saying. I think it's good. I just think there are good ways to go about it, and there are ways where they just simply put bad writers in the writer's room and they make cringe storylines and cringe writing. And that's unfortunate.
And if anything, I think it's unfair to groups or people that do feel underrepresented. Because instead of having a well-written, well-versed character where you could be like, all right, cool. That's a cool motherfucker. You have a lot of times you either have a terrible, terribly written character that on the surface level, maybe you can relate to, but on a deeper level, if you actually looked at it, you're like, ugh. Or you just have some stereotype. But like I said, this is a very nuanced conversation. There is I don't feel there's a real right or wrong as long as you're, as long as you're listening to people. Sometimes it's better just to listen. You don't always have to agree with your fellow person, but be respectful of their opinions. Jason Brower gifting 10 RGT 85 stash memberships. You got a gift from Jason, you got a gift from Todd Howard. Be sure to show your appreciation in the comment section down below. You have access to the after show now, so be sure to stop by and you can ask us whatever questions you want on there. KFB, it's called Kingdom Come for a reason. Not wrong.
Anyway, but just to say real quick, the CEO at EA, horrible opinion, stupid idiot for that, and stop your job and please leave, because that is not why Dragon Age failed, and it would have done much worse as a live service game. That was mean, actually. Don't quit your job, but maybe be smarter about things.
Yeah, I mean, no,
they just made Anthem. They just made Anthem before Dragon Age.
I can see everything you're saying. You're good. Yeah.
Remember Anthem?
Yeah. Does anyone? All right. So completely switching topics here.
All right.
My next topic. I expect to catch some heat in this, in the chat, but it needs to be said. I think that Resident Evil 6 is better than people give it credit for.
Nice.
I
like Resident Evil 6 a lot.
I have no bias I have no nostalgia towards this game. I never really played it back in the day. We were talking about the 6-axis controller. You had to use the 6-axis controller in order to steer, or was it was during Chris's thing. So I don't think you drive during Chris's thing. I think you're on the cannon on the back of it.
Yeah.
And so you had to use the 6-axis motion controls on it, and I didn't have a 6-axis controller. So that was when I stopped playing it. I have been playing it this past week, and I have been having a very, very good time with it. I have beaten Leon's campaign. I've beaten Chris's campaign. I'm almost done with Jake, and then I'll move on to Ada. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out.
Is this your first time playing it?
I would say yes, realistically.
Oh, wow.
Realistically, because awesome. Besides my playthrough before, when I got screwed over by the 6-axis controller, and you have to look at it from a lens of the fact that a lot of the tropes that are in that were not only a product of their time, but a product of what was successful beforehand with Resident Evil stuff. Resident Evil 6 existed because Resident Evil 5 was successful, and Resident Evil 5 was a very different game than Resident Evil 4, which was a very different game from Code Veronica and the original trilogy. Is it more action-based? Yes, it is. Are there some kind of cheesy boss battles? Yes, there is. But there is a fun, fast, fluid Resident Evil experience in that. It is not a horror game, but it is an action game with heavy horror elements. You're never scared in the game, but there are moments of unsettlety. The China landscape is great. I think that the enemies are creative, the mutations are creative, the story, the way that the story is told from all the different characters' perspectives, but then intertwining is really well done. I think it's not a great Resident Evil game. I would put it in, as far as, numbered entries are concerned, I would put it in the lower tier for sure. 100%. but as a whole, it's not that bad. Now, Jake definitely has the weakest campaign. You know, like I'm not really enjoying. I'm actually at a really stupid part right now. It's at the very end where Leon comes to save Jake, and then they escape together, and you're having to do a series of switches with
See you later, slacker.
With the fuck's her name? Sherry. And you have to do it together. And I just don't like it. You have to go on this weird elevator system. There's those weird respawning enemies, and my ammo is very low, and I'm kind of like, fuck. So,
are you playing alone or with someone?
Well, okay. So I was playing alone. And then halfway through Leon, somebody joined me, and we beat the game together. We beat Leon's together. And then Chris, I played alone.
Okay.
But
dude, no, what? Keep going.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm good.
I'm a big fan of Resident Evil 6. This was like my dream game when it came out because Resident Evil 4 was and still is my favorite game of all time. I really loved Resident Evil 5, and I played through it with my brother dozens of times. I played through it alone over and over, upgraded all the guns, got everything possible, did all the mercenary stuff. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. So when 6 came out, it was Chris finally with Leon. We get all the characters that we've known from the whole series all finally meeting together for this big epic storyline. And Ada's like the main villain type, and then there's twists and turns along the way that you don't expect. I really like that game. I think the only thing that they did wrong with Resident Evil 6, because this was the trajectory of Resident Evil. Sure, it's not action-y anymore, but it did progress to that. Like it's not like it went straight from Resident Evil Code Veronica to Resident Evil 6. It went 4, 5, 6. And I think that made sense. But anyway, the only thing I think they did wrong, a lot of people really complained about Resident Evil 5's tank controls because you still had to stop and shoot. You couldn't like run like a normal video game at that time. So what they did with Resident Evil 6 was they almost overcorrected, and they allow all this jumping and dodging and rolling on the ground. And I didn't feel like any of that was necessary in the game. Like just better movement. I just think better movement would have made it like you almost are too free in the game to where there's not really much suspense to the gameplay because you can just like duck and cover out of any scary situation. You just dive out of things. And I don't know. I thought that was a bit of an overcorrection, but still, I loved Resident Evil 6. Like, I actually really love that game.
You punch a giant fucking boulder in Resident Evil 5. I mean, that should have been the sign for people. Hey, you know what? We're going. I mean, and that was, if you look at movies and shit like that coming from that time, dude, it was all these big action scenes. Even other games were doing shit like that, and they just wanted a piece of the pie.
I thought that Chris's campaign, while it wasn't my favorite, the story and the ending legitimately hit me in the feels. Like it still hits me in the feels every time.
It's a good ending.
It's really, really good. And seeing Chris like start off the game like being this fucking drunk, and he has to get back into the BSAA or whatever it is he's getting back into, and just seeing that side of that character. And Resident Evil 6 was whenever they still had all the, in my opinion, all the best voice actors for all the characters. They ended up recasting everyone on all the new games, and they all sound different. They all act different. This was like most of the same actors from the old games and some recasted, or like sound alikes. Back when they cared about continuity and it felt like these characters were actually meeting because they all either sounded alike or like looked alike how they did in the past. And that means something to me because I'm like a voice acting nut or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. These are the best versions of all the characters, in my opinion, in Resident Evil 6. And seeing them all meet still is like one of the coolest things that ever happened, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just don't see it as some absolute travesty. And I'm a fan of the franchise. Like, yeah. I feel like if anyone should be like, oh, this isn't a good game, it should be me. You know, I was there for Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2. Okay, here's a question. I'll let you ponder this while I answer the super chat. What is your least favorite mainline Resident Evil game? I know mine. Easy 11 with $1.99er. RGT, did you beat Silent Hill 2 remake? Game of the year snub. I actually haven't played it yet. I know. I need to. I need to, but for some reason I've just been on this fucking Resident Evil kick lately. So I've been playing. I'm about to finish 6 with Jake. Then I'm gonna go to Ada, and at night I play my 3DS and I do Resident Evil Deadly Silence Rebirth mode because I like the little swipes on the touchscreen and like the different puzzles. And I actually started playing. You remember the Jake Hunter games on the DS? They were like they're like point and click mystery kind of a Ace Attorney style, but you're a private eye. There was one that came out on the 3DS that I never played, and I'm actually playing that, and the story's actually really good. And like I'm really enjoying it. So I've been playing that a bunch.
That's awesome. But one thing I wanted to shout out, because it's more recent, it's almost 10 minutes of my opinion on Resident Evil 6. Probably almost 2 years ago on Destructoid's YouTube channel, I did a video called In Defense of Resident Evil 6. Go check that out. That's like all my thoughts on like what I think about each campaign and stuff. But I'm like 30 pounds heavier, so you're probably gonna think I'm looking super fat.
It's fine. It happens when I get older. Least favorite mainline.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you, does Revelations count as mainline?
No.
Oh, well, I was gonna say Revelations 2, even though I still like that game. I thought it is like one of the weaker ones because it's so hard to pick. I love all of them, so I would say 3.
Yep. Okay, we're on the same page. 3. I'm not a fan of 3.
I still like it though.
I like it, but it's not really a full game.
I liked 3 Remake more than most people. I thought that it was a nice, short, sweet experience, but 3, the original and 3 Remake, I just still feel like are the weaker ones of all the bunch. 4 is still my all-time favorite. Honestly, 4, 5, Revelations, and 8 are probably my top Resident Evil games. And it's hard not to put the GameCube remake in there. But yeah.
All right, before we move to your final topic, we have a super chat from Rotten Tanuki. He says, fuck representation. The BK Club. Are we talking about Burger King? The Burger King Kids Club?
Yeah.
Captain Planet were dorks then and dorks now. I mean, bro, Captain Planet was cool. Like, yes, it was kind. If you really look back on it, it kind of was like weirdly propaganda-ish. But no, it had a great theme song, great toys, and the Burger King Kids Club was cool as fuck. They were dorks. They're dorks now. TMNT, Thundercats, DuckTales are the shit, and they have 0. TMNT. I mean, you have different species. You know, and I like what are you gonna have in DuckTales?
All right, Sean, you ready?
Heart is an element because it is. Thank you for the donation. Yes, I'm ready.
All right, mine's in a similar vein. I gotta say something's underrated or not really underrated. I just feel like it gets too much hate, and probably the whole chat's gonna disagree with me on this. You ready for this one?
I might even disagree with him. Go ahead.
I think 343 Halo games are good. I like all of them. Plenty. I like all of them a lot. They're actually some of my favorite Halo games out there. And I played all the Halo games when I was a kid.
You talking multiplayer or campaign?
Both.
I don't know shit about campaign.
Okay. Well, multiplayer for you then.
Which one? When did they start?
They did 4, 5, and Infinite.
I don't hate 4.
I personally really like 4's campaign. The multiplayer I was not that big a fan of. I think Halo 5's campaign's overhated. I think it's fun. It's good fun, especially with a friend. Story-wise, I don't think it's anything to write home about. But the multiplayer of 5, I loved. And then Infinite, I really loved the campaign, and I'm obsessed with the multiplayer. So I just think they're a bit overhated.
I think Infinite, no.
And yes, Halo 4 does have the best Cortana Retro Ronin XL.
Halo Infinite fucked itself by adopting a bullshit model.
Yeah.
If they would have came out with a full Halo experience on the multiplayer front on day one, none of this drip feed bullshit, I guarantee you right now on Xbox, more people are playing Master Chief Collection than they are Infinite online.
Probably.
I guarantee you.
I mean, let's just check Steam.
Steam doesn't count. While you're checking that, I'll read some super chats. Easy 11 with another 199. RE7 to me is a garbage Resident Evil game. Wow. What don't you like about it? I thoroughly enjoyed it because
Sean,
it's also a very different, because like when you look at Resident Evil, I feel like there's different eras of them. You had everything up to Code Veronica. You had 4, 5, and 6, and then you had 7 and 8. They're all very different.
Yeah. I felt like once again with RE7, they overcorrected because while 6 let you do all that crazy flipping, rolling, spinning, with 7 you're so limited with movement. It's such a slow moving game, which does add to the suspense when you can't run away very fast and stuff. But I don't know. I like Ethan just feels like a total loser in that game.
KFB with $1.99. In-N-Out, Five Guys, or Chick-fil-A, go. I've never had In-N-Out or Five Guys, so I will go with Chick-fil-A.
Halo MCC has double the players right now compared to Infinite. It's like 6,000 something and 3,000 something.
Oh, fuck. Tony Flip brings up Resident Evil 0. That is mainline. That is mainline.
So that's considered mainline, but Revelations isn't.
It's a number.
It's a number, but it's a still.
Revelations.
So you wouldn't count Code Veronica as mainline?
It is mainline.
Okay, so why can't Revelations count, but Code Veronica can?
Because
your rules make no sense.
Revelations came out at a time when
Revelations was the first.
Was offshoots. It was offshoots. That's all it was. It was a different game. It wasn't considered a mainline game. If Revelations first came out on the goddamn Nintendo 3DS, you're telling me that they put a mainline Resident Evil game with the Nintendo 3DS as the lead platform?
Yes, because what was the lead Nintendo platform around that time? The 3DS. They weren't going to put it on. They weren't going to put it on the Wii U.
They would have put it
then.
On a console.
Well, they did. Like what? 8 months later, it came to everything else.
Yeah, they ported it, but no, a 3DS, a mainline
it's a
console.
Mainline.
No, because Zero.
Dude, it's literally Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine are the main characters. If there was some nobody,
but it's the gameplay. It's the gameplay is unique in and of itself. The gameplay style is unique in and of itself.
It's a third person.
If it was a mainline game, why would they make a sequel to it? A direct sequel and call it Revelations 2?
I mean,
it's its own thing.
It's not its own. It's a mainline game.
It is its own thing. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, Veronica, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
But how can you say that knowing all the characters they put from the mainline games in Revelations 1 and 2? They brought back Barry motherfucking Burton for Revelations 2.
Because it's an offshoot game. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
He's a main character, damn it. It's a main.
He's a main character in an offshoot game.
Zero is an offshoot game then.
Zero is not an offshoot game. Zero has the same gameplay as classic Resident Evils do.
Revelations plays just like 4 and 5.
No, it does not.
Yes,
no,
it does.
Not. No, it does not. No, it does not. No, it does not.
You walk around.
How do you upgrade
the door
stuff?
animations?
How do you upgrade
Sean,
stuff?
you can't make that as a reason because all the gun upgrades are always different in so many Resident Evil games.
They're not.
Yeah, dude. Resident Evil 2 remake. You have to find the gun's parts around the frickin' police station. Resident Evil 8. There's a merchant just like Resident Evil 4.
How do you do it in Resident Evil 1? You don't. There is no upgrade.
So what does that mean?
That was the first game.
It's mainline.
It's not mainline. It is an off. So then, by that logic, Survivor is mainline.
No.
Here you go,
dude. If you play Resident Evil 4 and 5, and then you decided to play 6 and Revelations, and you know nothing about the series, if I asked you which one plays more similarly to 4 and 5, a person would say Revelations is more similar than Resident Evil 6.
Not necessarily.
Jill Valentine.
Here it is.
Sean.
Here it is. I'm holding a mainline. Why did I buy this, by the way? I don't know. I love Resident Evil. I actually have like a big PS4 Resident Evil collection. I bought like every PS4 Resident Evil game like brand new for like $100. Like some weird dude was selling it. Dang. I don't know why I'm bothering taking this off. Here you go. Mainline Survivor. It's mainline.
That's not mainline.
Mainline.
But anyway, Resident Evil 5, speaking of that, I posted a YouTube or a Facebook video about that yesterday, and people have crazy nostalgia for that because it's over 1.1 million views, and all the video is Resident Evil 5 gameplay with the words, "This is one of the best co-op games ever." Like, so many people shared it. People love that game.
How is it not a mainline game if it's part of the Origins collection?
Resident Evil Revelations had a collection.
No, it didn't.
Oh, I swear it did.
Nope, right there, right here in my goddamn hand. Separate games.
No, they had a collection, dude. I'm staring right at it.
Why didn't
Resident Evil Revelations collection on Amazon. It's literally both game. The top part
Oh
of
yeah,
the
that
Switch
was on the
case.
Switch though. That no. I'm talking about original. This is original prints. It is not a mainline game.
Anyway, back to 343. I think their games are a bit overhated. What about you?
Infinite sucks. I don't like Infinite.
Dude, you liked it in the beginning. But dude, here was my problem with the Infinite stuff is that everyone was complaining, like you just did. You complained about the the online, the meta game of it all. Like the upgrading your character and like unlocking skins and all that shit. Whenever I
was complaining about the content, the lack of content, the lack of game modes, the lack of maps. But first impressions are everything.
But at launch, it wasn't a problem because people thought that, in 3 weeks, a month, maybe 2 months, there'd be a bunch more content. The problem is that there never was for like a year. But that initial reception of Infinite's multiplayer was extremely positive, except the progression that sucked horribly.
No,
like
the lack of
XP
content,
stuff.
The fact that you played the same 3 maps over and over again, the fact that
they had more than 3.
There was not a Team Slayer at launch.
I don't remember.
There was not. I remember.
I've been playing Fiesta the entire time.
There was not a fucking Team Slayer at
But dude,
launch.
just the pure chaos that happens in Halo's multiplayer, and then with all the new like the grappling hook and all that stuff, the force push or whatever it is, like all that stuff was so cool. So fun. Halo Infinite's awesome.
I would rather play Master Chief Collection.
I just can't. Like, I played that a ton, but after Infinite, I love the movement of Infinite, so it's hard to go back.
I can get over it. You know why? Because of content, variety.
Do you think when MCC hits Switch and PS5 that they'll start supporting it again?
With new content?
Yeah, because they just stopped, like, what was it, like only a year and a half ago, 2 years?
I don't think there'll be new content. There's enough there.
They supported it for a long time.
Yeah, but you're getting a whole different player base.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, get people in and just start updating it again.
Literally millions of new people will be playing it.
Yeah.
First impressions are very important, and that game did not leave a positive first impression upon me. So therefore, I think there's good ideas, but you have to have the execution to go along with those good ideas. And the execution,
and they did it splendidly. They could not have done a better job. No, I'm just kidding.
The execution was piss poor at best.
But the core gameplay mechanics, can you at least say those are fun?
Yeah.
I played with you. We had fun.
Did I play with you?
Yeah. We played several times. You have horrible memory.
Dude, I can't even remember what I ate for dinner.
I don't think Medallion says that MCC on Switch 2 will probably run at 30 FPS. I don't think so.
No, that's an Xbox One game. It originally came out on Xbox One. It probably won't have some of the bells and whistles, but no, I think that should be fine.
And they all ran at 60 on Xbox One, right?
Yeah. And you had to fucking account for the VCR too with that thing. So no, I'm sure it'll be. I think the Switch 2 is gonna surprise a lot of people, honestly.
Dude, I think that Sony might be starting to get a little scared because when Nintendo finally has power, what if all the third-party games start selling most on Switch? I mean, that's probably not going to happen, but what if,
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that it's surprising to me that like they fell out of gaming completely and they're like adults. But then when the Switch came out, they just play Switch. Like, they don't care if the game looks like mud on the Switch. They're just like, if it's not on Switch, I'm not going to play it. And if it is, I'm going to play it. Like, that's their mindset, which I just think is kind of fascinating because they don't give a shit about frames and Ps and all that stuff.
The average person doesn't. You got to remember, most of the people you talk to are on the interwebs.
Yep. It's about a small group of like 50,000 people that we're all talking to.
Yeah. I mean, and in reality, that's a very small number. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up this main show now. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. If you are a channel member, there will be a community post made in just a second that will have the after show link, and you can come hang out and ask us some questions for about 30 minutes. I want to give a huge shout out to Sometimes I Drink Tea, KFB, Finchy TV, Buy One BBL, Get One Free, Ethan Miguel, Easy, Rotten Tanuki, and of course, a big thank you to Jason Brower for gifting 10 memberships and also becoming a member himself, and Fransby Todd Howard for gifting 50 memberships. That is nuts. Be sure to check the community tab in just a second, and we'll be live in just a minute over there, and come hang out. I'm RGT85, joined as always by Brett. See you on the next episode.
See you guys. Audio version up tomorrow if you missed some of the show. Bye.